Hi, I'm Tammy Beilstein. Welcome to Tammy's Window on Calaveras. I have with me today John Takac, and he is an author. He is, you know what, it's easy for me to say what you're not, because this man has done everything. John has written this book, Doing a 180 at 60. I read this and I loved it. The way that it is written, John, thank you for being here, by the way.
It's my honor, thank you.
It is an easy read. It flows. It's almost like having a conversation with you. You know, I love it, the way that your style and all of that. Tell me about the book. Tell me about yourself.
Well, let me see. I start with myself, I guess, because myself is what the book is about.
Yeah.
And really, the book happened in a way that was kind of unusual. I write fiction. And this is a nonfiction book.
Right.
Everything in here is true.
Even though it's like some of it is so big.
Pretty goofy, huh?
I'm like, really?
So what it was is I was writing a novel, and I just finished it. And I live up in the snow, and so it was snowing out. It was in February, and this was years ago. And honestly, when you finish a novel, it's kind of like, I don't know how to say it, but it's for your characters to be real, for people to read, they're almost real to you. So when you get finished with a novel, it's like, first of all, it's like a blessing because, like, oh man, I've been working on this for years, you know. And the second thing is it's a little sad. It's like I'm going to miss all my people.
Yeah.
My friends are gone. So I was essentially slouched down like normal, you know, in my chair. And I looked down, and I swear my stomach was like way out to here. And I was like, wow, am I out of shape? And I thought, I got to get in shape. This is crazy, you know? And so instantly I got up and I started getting on my exercise bike. And as I was on my exercise bike riding, I had this thought about my neighbors when I used to live in San Jose. And they were really old. You know, at the time I was like 35 and they were like 42.
Right.
How can you think that's old at the time, you know? But anyhow, so I'm thinking about her, and what she did was something called a Davis double. And I was riding bicycles at the time, but she rode 200 miles in a day. She started at 3 o'clock in the morning and finished at midnight. And so I was riding my exercise bicycle, trying to get in shape. And the thought occurred to me, like, I could do that. And then because I had just finished writing this novel, I'm all inside my head anyhow. I heard that little voice and I went, I know that character, that's me. And this other character, which my body says, you know, I'm doing all the work here.
Right.
What do you mean we could do this bicycle, right? It was like crazy in my head anyhow.
200 miles.
In a day. So
that's craziness.
So I made a little deal with myself, and I said if I could lose, at the time it was about 35 pounds or so, and I said if I could get down to 189.9 pounds, I could do that. And my body said, sure, you could do that, because I've been trying to lose 25 pounds for like 25 years and couldn't do it, you know.
Like most of us,
Yeah, so real. It was so real. And so I went on a diet, and I did everything you could possibly do wrong, and then I entered this 200-mile Davis double. And like a week before, I had hit 189.9 pounds. So I was there. I had been riding a little bit. I've been riding, and I just thought, how can I do that? How can you ride 200 miles a day? Who could do that? It's crazy, you know? I mean, honestly, I thought I was crazy.
Yeah. I'm 51, and I haven't ridden 200 miles in my entire life, like all together. That's crazy.
I could relate to that.
Yeah.
So I show up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and without any fans or fanfare, I get on my bicycle and I start riding. And my whole goal was if I could just make it to the rest stop. And then they're about 25 miles apart or something. So I can just get there. And then if I get past that one, I could get to the next one. And if I get, and I did it. I finished at 11
Gosh.
o'clock at night. It took me 18 hours.
Wow.
I like to brag and say I could have done more, but I think it was just stupidity talking, honestly.
Oh my God. Did you stop and rest for very long at all?
About 3 hours worth of resting. In
Okay.
fact, I didn't even practice riding up mountains. I didn't know there was going to be mountains. I thought it was going to be up in the or down in the
yeah.
valley. It was out of Davis, so I thought it was all flat. And we had to go up this big mountain, and it was right about the 100-mile mark. And when I got to the top, I looked around, and there was all these other people, and they were all like laying down in the grass
Yeah.
asleep. And I said, "That's a good idea."
Yeah.
So I did too. I took a little nap right there.
Oh, good. Okay. Okay.
And then I got up, and then I finished the whole thing. And I was
Gosh.
exhilarated. But what it did when that happened to me, and this is all about the book anyhow,
Yeah.
that little story, but what that really did for me is it opened my mind into the fact that I could probably do a lot of this other stuff. And then I started thinking, what happened to me? How come I don't do anything anymore? The fact is, honestly, how come when we turn 60, none of us do anything anymore? It's like, for some reason, somebody programmed us and we're supposed to get into a rocking chair.
Right.
And waste the rest of our lives in front of a TV.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, or maybe I guess you could be a little bit more melodramatic and sit on the back porch and rock,
Yeah,
you know?
just watch the grass grow.
Really.
Yeah.
So I started thinking about how come we don't do things anymore. And I just drew up a list. And my first list had about 40 things. And I didn't pay any attention to it at first. The list was just... And then I thought, well, a little bit more. And I thought, well, I added a few more things. And then I kind of thought, well, hey, since I'm going to be doing this at 60 years old, why not put 60 things on my list?
Yeah.
And then I couldn't believe that I could actually find 60 things that I'd actually done in my life. And you know, to be honest with you, some of this stuff is like dancing.
Yeah.
I don't dance anymore. You know, I mean,
right.
Or yoga. I mean, something simple like that. And, you know, then there was the hard things like a half a marathon. And
You have a lot of hard things on here. When I looked at your list of 60, I found maybe 4 or 5 that I could do, maybe. And one of them I thought, it said crochet. I was like, oh, I could crochet. And then it says croquet.
Croquet.
So then I had to think about it. I don't know. Because I'm not so active.
So,
You've
croquet.
done crazy things.
I have, but croquet. All right, so
Yeah.
a lot of people think, oh, croquet's in your backyard, right?
Right.
All right, so I grew up in Indiana, and we played croquet down by the river. And you remember when you hit your enemy or your adversary, whoever, they hit their ball, you could put it under yours and you could knock it.
Knock it,
We would knock it into the river. And then the guys would have to dive in the river to go get their balls
no
back.
way.
So we had full contact croquet.
No way.
Isn't that cool?
I wouldn't play with you. No, because I would be like, you know what, fish poop in that water. I'm not going in there. That's filthy. But you do everything.
I did.
Is there anything you're afraid of? I don't think so.
Not much. And I have a backstory on that. And there's a real truth. So I was in Vietnam. And I was in a helicopter. We were landing. And just as we landed, the enemy mortared us. They sent these mortar bombs at us.
God.
And they were blowing up, and we started to take off. And one hit our helicopter, and the helicopter flipped upside down and crashed.
Oh, my God.
And I was knocked out. And if you've never been knocked out before, it's really weird because there's no time passage.
Right.
It's like you were knocked out, and then you're awake.
Yeah.
Right? And so I come awake, and it's like, your mind kind of has to kind of reboot, like, what's my name? You know,
Yeah, right.
Where am I? What am I doing? And this goes like, yeah, I'm John, and yeah, I'm in the Army, and then I'm in Vietnam, and oh my God, we just got in a helicopter crash, and we crashed. It's like, goes fast, and it's like, got to get out.
Wow.
Got to get out. And I went to get out, and I was like, oh, my seatbelt's on. So I flipped my seatbelt, and unbeknownst to me at the time, I was hanging upside down. And so I landed on my head.
Oh, God.
And now I swear to God, this is the truth. This is the truth. You know when you do something dumb, how you think people are looking at you, you know?
Right,
And so you kind of, you do something dumb and you kind of got
like, who saw that?
kind of look around a little bit like, did anybody see that? I swear that happened to me.
Oh, no.
And
At
then-
a moment like that.
In a moment like that, yeah. But there was a little crack there, and I crawled out of the helicopter and got up to run. And that's when I realized I didn't realize it, but I couldn't run. And so I crawled like real fast away from the helicopter. This is all about fear, because I should have probably got killed then. I mean, our helicopter was full of jet fuel. It was full of ammunition. We were resupplying the South Vietnamese army. And I probably should have got killed, but I didn't.
God.
And so, you know how people are, there's bad things that happen in people's life a lot, all the time.
Right.
But you can either take that bad thing and just ruin your life with it, or it can just be something that's learned and there's an advantage to it.
Right.
The advantage that I got is I lost my fear. And I've kind of thought that this life is like a bonus life. I mean, think about it. If you were supposed to be killed and you didn't get killed, it's like this is all a bonus.
That's a neat way to think of it.
Yeah. So.
Did I read that you were only 20 when that happened?
I think I was 19.
19?
Yeah.
Gosh, such a kid.
I was. I was just a little guy.
What happened to your friends?
We all got out okay.
They all did?
Yeah, and this gets into more stories, but when I was on a book tour for my other book, The Takac, I was in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was flying out from there. I was doing a book thing there, and I was coming back to San Francisco. And I had my 101st Airborne hat on. In fact, I just attended my son. He had graduated from parachute school. He was a paratrooper. And I was just coming there, and I had my airborne hat on, and I was sitting and this guy two over, woman between us, leans over and says, "Hey, where'd you get that hat?" Oh. And that's code. Okay, when you're in the military, that's code. So I knew that's code that he was one of us. He was a 101st Airborne guy. That's what he's wanting to know, you know. Wow. And so I told him where I earned it. He said, he said, "So where were you?" And I said, "I was at Camp Evans." And he goes, "Camp Evans?" He goes, "Which side of the runway were you on?" And I said, "I was on the downhill side." And he goes, "So you were in the Hueys?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "I was on the other side." He was a Cobra pilot.
Whoa.
And so we started talking. And when I got wounded, it was a big push into Laos. And I was actually wounded in Laos. And so this guy was a Cobra pilot, and while they were rescuing us because we were being attacked, the Army, they had 6 helicopters, Cobra gunships, doing this around us, right? And firing at and because he remembered my helicopter, because the tail boom got blown off, and the tail boom was still upright, and the helicopter was upside down. So he remembered my helicopter, and he was one of the guys that saved my life.
Oh my God!
Huh? Can you imagine in a frickin' airport in Atlanta? And he had a great story.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was. It was a cool thing. Life has circles like that.
Yeah.
You know, they do. They have funny circles like that.
I believe that too. I think there's souls that are supposed to just keep, I don't know, there to help when you need them. They go away, come back again. I don't know. It's really cool.
So so that was a cool story.
Wow.
So,
are you still in touch now, or is he somebody?
No,
that,
never. I got his name and lost it. I just one of those things I missed. Oh well.
Wow, you could. That's incredible.
Yeah, that's another story in itself.
Yeah. So, you know, one of the things I was thinking when I first started reading your book, I was maybe, just a few pages in, I realized you and I could never be married, ever, because you would freak me out.
Your name's not Laura, right?
No, you'd freak me out, and I would drive you crazy, because you'd say, "I want to jump off that hill. I want to jump out of that airplane. I want to swim in that ocean." And I'd be saying, No, John, let's check this out first.
I swear, when I got divorced one time, so I was divorced, and when I did, my ex-wife Laura told me, "I can finally sleep at night now knowing you're not going to get killed." That's what she said.
Seriously?
Seriously, she said that.
I understand that woman.
Yeah.
So you're married now,
I
right?
didn't.
No. You're married now?
I am.
Is your wife a daredevil like you?
No, but she
just lets you do your thing.
She pretty much, she's pretty cool with it all.
Wow.
She actually she is such a great support person.
Yeah.
That I don't know. In the book, you saw that the very last chapter, not the very last chapter, very last page, I wrote a little blurb about her.
I think I did. Yeah.
And what it was is a year ago we ran a marathon in Sacramento, the Sacramento International Marathon. And we ran that together. We were holding hands through the whole thing.
Neat. Yeah.
And she's a much better runner than I am. I'll just be really honest with you. And she kind of dogged it down to keep up with me, I think.
Yeah.
But I had to talk her into that. In fact, really, I didn't talk her into it. What happened was that she kind of said that she was going to whip my, And I said, yeah, we'll see about that. And she goes, if I had ever entered something like that, I mean, who's dumb enough to run, 26.2 miles? And I was like, so I went into the computer and I walked back out in about 20 minutes and says, here's your entry.
Oh, God.
You see who whips who,
Yeah.
And so, no, it was funny.
Oh, she sounds made for you. I like that you call her your best friend, your sweetheart.
She
Oh, that's so sweet.
She is.
Yeah.
And maybe it helps that she's an emergency room nurse.
Oh, yes. I swear, I thought about that when I was thinking, I couldn't even be near you doing these things. I'd be a wreck. I'd be looking to see how far is the closest hospital, how close is the nearest emergency personnel. Thank goodness.
So on my website, johnrtakis.com, there's a video, and there's a little video of me swimming in the river down in Lake Natomas, and she's filming this in the kayak. And the reason I put this on is she runs the kayak into me. Well, I would say you can't see anything when you're swimming.
Yeah.
So I got my head down and I'm doing all this stuff, right? And she runs right into me. She goes, because she's trying to film and steer at the same time. It's funny.
That's so cute.
So there you go. The one that's supposed to protect me, she's crashing into me.
Is there anything she would not want you to do? Like something that you've said you wanted to do and she's kind of put a, no?
She's never said a thing.
Wow.
Because I'm not, the things I do in there, skydiving and...
You jumped off a rock, though. You jumped off a cliff.
I do that into the water. That's fun. But I also jumped off the bridge, the bungee jump off the bridge. I couldn't talk her into doing that. I thought she might want to do that.
You said you did that with and without a bungee, right?
Well, I did, but not that bridge.
Okay.
That was way up at 100 and some feet above, 170 feet or something. But the highest I've ever dove off a cliff was almost 100 feet. That was when I was in the Army.
Wow.
And I was really goofy then, so I did that. So this time around, I didn't dive that high. I probably went 45 or 50 feet.
Golly.
But when I grew up in Indiana, we had a river that ran right real close to where we lived, and that river was just massive entertainment for us. Mm-hmm. And all the kids that I knew of, we would all dive off the bridges, and there were 6 bridges to dive off of, and you had to get them all. Otherwise, we consider it being an ace. You had to have 6 instead of 5, but you had to dive off all the bridges.
Wow.
And of course, it was illegal. I guess.
Yeah. Well, things were so different back then. It was so different. Now you have to get a permit for everything.
It was.
Yeah.
And I talk about the scuba diving. And that's like one of the first, maybe I can't remember if it's the first story or not, but that's true. I was 10 years old. I mean, honestly, I was about this tall, and the scuba diving tank was about this tall.
God,
and my brother and I go down to the scuba dive shop on our bicycles. We buy one. There's no parental consent. You don't have to be certified. It's just cold cash.
Wow.
And as we're kind of walking out the door, I said to this guy, so how do you scuba dive? And the guy says, you just breathe out of your mouth and pop your ears once in a while.
Holy cow.
Well, isn't it true, though? It is that simple.
Well, I've never done it, but but you have at 10 with a tank as big as you were.
It was. And
That's crazy.
I couldn't even swim.
No?
No, I couldn't swim.
Oh, my God.
So my brother tied a rope around me and put me out into the river, and I couldn't go down. So we all fished. Everybody fished that I knew of. And so my brother pulls me back in, and he's much older. He's 12. So much older than I am.
He's very mature.
Very mature. He pulls me in, he ties bricks around my waist.
Oh, God.
Because we knew to get your hook down, you had to have a sinker sometimes. So the bait didn't mind. I was the bait, and he hooked the rocks, and I just went scuba. That's how I learned to scuba dive.
He was brilliant.
It's pretty good.
You didn't have that fear, though? People panic when they can't swim and they're in water. You didn't have that?
No. I could splash around, dog paddle and all that stuff and get around. And we were in the river a lot along the banks and looking for golf balls. Mm-hmm. And through the years, I mean, honestly, after I learned how to dive, we never had snorkels. We would do what we call, I guess it was a dolphin, where you would hold your breath and you go down and you just come up and you blow your air out and you go up above, catch your air and go right back down looking for golf balls. Sometimes you would come up under a tree that was submerged. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I learned at such a young age that you don't panic. You just, you come up and there's a log on top of you. You just kind of back up.
Not sure, but I think I'm getting high. It's just listening to you. I'm kind of nervous.
No.
I'd be a mess. Oh my God, your poor mom. If she knew half the things you were doing.
She didn't know a whole lot of those things.
I guess.
No.
Yeah. Is she still around?
She just died
died.
About 2 months ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
3 months ago now, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, she was 94 and she had a great life.
Good.
And she was she had firm faith and was hooked in deep with all that stuff. And if I was to believe like she believed, then she's in a much better place than here. So she had a full life. She was a wonderful woman.
That's great. And I absolutely believe that.
Me too. Good. I honestly do.
So you said you have a son. Do you have other children?
Yes, I have a couple sons and my daughter. In fact, my daughter's up right now. She's just come up. She's a paramedic in San Jose.
Nice.
Yeah, and her boyfriend's a Sunnyvale police officer.
Wow.
So they're up right now.
You just got, I can just imagine the energy when you guys all get together in that room. Just a high energy
Yeah, they're
people.
mad at me. They're all mad at me because I do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And they go, so you're doing all this triathlon and stuff, huh, Dad? Does that mean we're going to end up like you when we get older? I go, yep, you're just bumps off the log.
God. See, that's what I was going to ask you. Are they like you, or did they go the opposite?
No, they're all pretty much adventuresome.
Really?
Yeah, my daughter actually is skydiving. Well, all of them have skydived. And my youngest son was a paratrooper in the Army. He's got a bunch of jumps in.
Gosh.
So they all raced motorcycles, and they all raced motorcycles. Not anymore. Well, I still got them, but they're the ones that ride them now more than I do.
That's interesting. See, because I have always, from the time I was this big, people would tease me and say I was like a 2-year-old wearing a watch. I've just always been like, what's happening around? I'll be in control. You guys go do your thing, and I'll check it all out first. But my son, because I was like that, he went the opposite way. My daughter's somewhere in between. But because I was like way over here, he went way over here. And he's a lot like you, super adventurous. I've seen video of him jumping off of cliffs into the water. Oh my God, I just have a
right over here,
attack.
Real close from here is caverns.
Yeah.
Where you can go spelunking.
Right.
Spelunking.
Yes, spelunking.
And I did that. That's in the book. And the cool thing about it is I've never been limber. And I thought there's no way I could ever get in those little teeny tight passages, I was shocked that I could do all that stuff. I mean, it's so tight. Sometimes you go in this way, my shoulders are this way, you go in and that's it. You can't go any further because it turns and you have to go like this, except your other part of your body's still square the other way, and it's weird, I'm telling you. It's so much fun. I absolutely love that.
It flips me out that you're not limber, but you did it anyway. Like you just knew that you'd get through it. You just...
Well, yeah,
you
had to.
Yeah.
I was with all these teenagers that were doing it.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
What are your plans for the future? What on your list? There's a few things that aren't checked off.
Not yet. I've got to get to them babies. Well, what happened to me is, honestly, this book was really, a lot of it was written years ago. And then what happened to me was it was innocent. It was an innocent thing. So I was running and I was bicycle riding, two things that I was going to be in the book, and the other one was swimming. So I was always a pretty good swimmer, so I thought that's not going to be a big problem. And then where I work out at the gym, they had a triathlon, and they said, "Come on, you've been doing this other stuff, you could do this." And I said, "Sure, I can. Why not?" So I signed up for it. Well, about a month before it, I thought, well, I might as well start swimming now. And honestly, I thought I was a really good swimmer then. And I was on a swim team a long, long time ago, 50 years ago or whatever. And so I jumped in the water. I thought, I better start practicing this. I went down and came back. And I'd been working out, and I'd done the 200-mile thing. And I came back, and I was like, really? And I thought, wow, this is hard, you know? I thought, wow, am I going to be able to do this? Well, I did about 10 laps that day, and then next time I came in, I usually wait one day and then come back, and one day and come back.
I read that because you rest your body, you work it hard, to the limit, and then you give yourself some rest, and then you do it again.
Yeah, I had to learn that part. Yeah. I didn't never realize that's when you get stronger. I always thought you got stronger when you did this stuff.
Yeah,
it's not. It's the rest where you repair everything.
So you were swimming, and you...
So within 3 weeks, I went a mile. So I got to a mile within 3 weeks. And then, so I got in this triathlon. And okay, here we go. And now they didn't do it like in the right order. Usually you go swim, bike, run. And they did it bike, run, swim. Swim was last because it was in the pool. So I get off the bike and I go to run, and my legs don't want to work. I'm going like, I didn't ride that far. It was only like 10 or 12 miles, something like that. I was like, I didn't ride that far. How come my legs aren't working? Finally, I got my legs to work after a while. And then I finished okay there. And then I go, okay, now I get in the pool. Thank God, I've been practicing this. It's going to be nothing.
Right.
I jump in the pool and I start to swim. And my legs don't work again. And it's
no.
I never realized that all those sports are different muscles.
Right.
I mean, even in your legs, they're different leg muscles.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get my legs to work for a while. And finally, I got them working. And I was so intrigued by it, how hard that was, that it became like, truly, it became an obsession after a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the following year came, and I was ready for it, but they didn't have it. Instead, they put us into a longer one, and it was out at Lake Amador. And so I did that one. It was really, really hard. I pulled my muscle before it. I really got intrigued. And then I finally started doing more. And within 3 years, I did my first Ironman.
Golly.
And it didn't, remember almost everything I did in the book, the very first time you do it, it never really comes out very good.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, you never think about it, but that's kind of how life is that way.
Sure.
What was that way? Even at doing a 180 at 60, it was that way. You
Yeah.
know? So I was on the bicycle. I was in Boise, Idaho. I get in for the swim, and there's about 300 people that take off at the same time. Mm-hmm. And there's no lanes this was in a reservoir. And there's a pyramid way out there, which, by the way, I can't see without my glasses. So I'm just like blind. Yeah. And all these people jump in, and you start swimming, and you get kicked, you get hit, you get ran over, because there's no lines. People are swimming like this and like this. I mean, not me, of course. I'm going perfectly.
Yeah,
straight.
perfectly.
Yeah,
yeah.
no. So I mean,
when you can't see.
But it's like, and so I'm like getting PO'd, you know. I'm like, you guys, what are you doing, man? You know, I'm cussing, you know. And then after about 5 minutes of all this thrashing and heading out there, I just started laughing. I'm laughing underwater, and I'm like thinking, nobody's doing this on purpose. This is just kind of how it is. And wow. So anyhow, I get through that thing, and I get on the bicycle, and I've been practicing on the bike. This is my best thing. So I'm going good on my bicycle, and I'm just flying along, and here comes a rest area toward the end. And it's like 15 miles from the end maybe. And I go, I don't even need to stop. I got water. And I get a little further, I take a drink, and this bottle's empty now. I use my full bottle, and it was empty.
Oh, no.
And I ran out of water. And so I'm like, oh, my God, I got 12 miles to go. Now it's starting to get warm. Mm-hmm. And so I make it. I get in, and I park my bike. I put my running shoes on, and I stand up. I go to run. I take one step, and my legs just cramp up.
Oh, gosh.
And I was like, what do you do? Mm-hmm. What do? Do you quit, or do you keep
Not
going?
You.
Not me.
Not you.
So I'm thinking, okay, good. I got one step left of 13 miles. One step in, and it took me. But anyhow, I finished it.
Yeah.
It took me a lot longer than I thought it was. The run killed me. I mean, I can only run 50 feet at a time sometimes. Until finally my legs, I got the water station and just,
I bet. Oh, I wish I was more like you.
You can be. And reading the book, 180 at 60, you'll see that a lot of people can be just like me.
I do like that you, poop, we only have a minute left. I just said poop.
That's okay.
But I like that you don't write about how perfect you were all the time. Everything you did worked out great. You tell about the struggles and how it wasn't easy, but you pushed through everything. And
anybody
you're
can
awesome.
do it. I'm telling you, we can all do it.
Yeah. I'm so glad you were here, and you know what? I especially love that you shared your story about your time in Vietnam also. I'd love for you to come back and talk with us more about yourself and your experiences.
Oh, thank you.
You're a really neat man. Thank you, John, for being here.
Thank you for having me on.
Check out this book. I know it's on Amazon.
It is.
Anywhere else local we can find it?
Actually, after the first of the year, it'll be available everywhere.
Everywhere.
So.
Oh, find this book. I highly recommend it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time on Tammy's Window on Calaveras. That one's so fast.